Hi folks, Smudge here. Well, tonight, February the 12th, 2018, we have a relatively new channel that's going to be joining us on Monday Night Live. Grandpa's Place. Let me quickly read the description. Grandpa's Place is dedicated to handing down the knowledge of outdoor life, covering bushcraft, woodcraft, hunting, tracking, trapping, camping, primitive skills, preparedness, and homesteading. These are the things that were handed down to me from my father, grandfather, great-grandfather, and older scoutmasters in the Boy Scouts, as well as the things I wish to hand down to the next generation. So come along and learn some of those forgotten skills. So, what we know about him so far is he has a piece of property in East Texas and is building a cabin on that property. And it's not finished yet, so let's ask him about it.
These first few videos, while I'd like to get straight to the point and teaching you some things you may not know, I haven't quite finished building this place yet.
So Grandpa, what do you still have to build?
Still got to build an outhouse.
Well, an outhouse is pretty important. What else do you have to do?
We're going to hand dig a well.
Okay, an outhouse, a well, what else?
I got to put in a drain for the sink.
Okay, a sink drain. So what else is on that list?
I need a fire ring out back.
Fire ring, well, that'll come in handy. What else you got to do?
I got to build a picnic table.
Picnic table? Well, you're going to need that with all the good food that you cook up.
I need an ash box built.
Well, sounds like a never-ending list. So join us tonight, and we'll find out more. You'll find this channel well laid out and various special titles pertaining to subject matter. So we'll see you tonight. The stream starts at 8:57, and the show starts at 9 o'clock. See you then.
Hey folks, sorry. Southern Arc asked me for a link, so I'm going out looking for a link. No, have to do what my peoples tell me. Now I can't find where I'm supposed to go. Tonight we have Grandpa's place, and he's back in the green room waiting, drinking whatever we have, and nibbling popcorn. I think we popped up tonight. Our trolls are ready for any of the two-legged trolls that come in. And you already heard Smudge's introduction and his silly questions. So let's get the ball rolling.
Get it rolling?
Get it rolling.
All right. Grandpa, you're live.
Well, hello, everybody.
Geez, I don't hear anybody. I'm
You
sure
don't
they're
hear me?
there. I'm sure they hear you.
I hope you hear me.
So, East Texas. You want to tell the folks a little bit? You have a cabin in East Texas, and you're also in East Texas, but the cabin and your residence are different.
Correct. I have a small ranch of about 12 acres out in East Texas. It's right in the middle of somewhere around 10,000 timber company acres. So it's middle of nowhere. And I bought it 4 or 5 years ago and decided that I would go ahead and build a cabin on it. I'm getting some feedback here. Now I live in Dallas-Fort Worth area, but the cabin is out in a little town called Wascom.
Okay. And you're building the cabin yourself. And
Yes.
Is it going to be an off-grid cabin? I know right now it is, but
The cabin is designed around what a small cabin would have been like in the late 1920s, early 1930s, right about the time of the Depression. So before electrification, I did wire in an outside plug for a generator that runs into a single plug inside and up to a ceiling fan, because it gets to 106 degrees Fahrenheit out there.
Whoa.
And I need air conditioning in the middle of summer. But I'll rough it, but not at 106.
Geez, what would they have done back in the 20s?
Good Lord.
Well, back in the 1920s, and the cabin's designed like this. We got a front and a back covered porch, and the doors and windows open to allow a breeze through. One of the reasons they did that front and back covered porch was to give the air an area to cool off as before it came to where they were living. Most of the time, they would sleep as low to the floor as possible. And back then, the churches would get in big chunks of ice on Sunday and put fans over them to cool the church off. So everybody go to church on Sunday to cool off.
There you go. So,
when the day that I started building that cabin, it was 106 degrees out there.
Oh.
And it was me and my middle brother, or my youngest brother, and we got most of the foundation set, which is just deck blocks that we then built a 2x6 subframe on that's set at 16 inches on center.
okay, so it's very similar to these that you see for sale.
It is.
With porches added onto it.
Yes. I came up with a design for it because I couldn't find anything pre-built, and when I ran the numbers for the design and the size, it came up cheaper than buying a pre-built by several $1,000s. Now, originally, I had planned for me and my youngest brother to do most of the big building over a single August through November, and to have walls and a basic roof up. And that actually didn't happen. That was a lot more work than I had thought it was going to be. And I'm older and no longer in as good a shape as I was when I was 20. So it took a lot more work.
Daryl says the same thing.
Yeah. It takes me 10 times as long as what it used to.
He gets so aggravated when he realizes he just can't do things as fast as what he used to.
I know that feeling.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So the area where your cabin is at, is there any conveyance as far as restrictions on the property? You have to do this and you have to do that, or is it pretty wide open?
There's no zoning and no building requirements. Kind of. There are building requirements in that a rural area like that is supposed to, residential buildings are supposed to be built to IBC code.
Okay.
And I did the research. I actually had a PE go over my designs before it was approved, before I went and started building. And it comes as close to IBC code as I could get. They have some requirements about inside plumbing and toilets and things like that, yeah, I didn't do. I got an outhouse.
Well, and that was the one thing that I wondered about, because and anymore the government's got to know where you're pooping.
That is one of the requirements that Texas does have, is that you have to have I'm looking for the words, a waste disposal system. And they have a lot of requirements as to the size and all of that. If I had paid to have a septic system put in, it would have been about $35,000.
Wow.
However, the state has composting toilets that are approved in place of a septic system. So on my list of things to get is one of these composting toilets once I save the money, because it's about $1,000 for a good composting toilet. As it stands, it's a bucket and a plastic bag.
Well, I was going to say, I think off grid with Doug and Stacy, they just use a bucket and some sawdust.
I think a little bit
That's
more
actually
bad.
not approved in the state, at least in this state that I know of.
So, do you have plans for solar out there at all?
No. During the summer, I get maybe an hour of sunlight a day between the trees, usually from noon to 1 o'clock. So there's not really enough to pull solar.
Okay.
I'm actually looking at a 2,500 watt inverter generator. As I ran the numbers to run the fan and the air conditioner, which is the only two things that I need electricity for, and it comes in at about 1,500 watts. So 2,500 watt will give me some extra to work with.
Okay. Well, let's see. Honda, Yamaha, they all make about that size.
Yeah, they do. But those are expensive too. That's another save my money thing.
So you said in your intro you're going to hand dig a well.
Yes.
That sounds very ambitious.
Well, okay. I've done a ton of research on how to dig a well, and there's several ways to do it. Originally, I was going to pound pipe, which is to put a well spike on the end of a pipe and pound it into the ground and then attach your next pipe and pound it in. And supposedly you can get it down deep enough within a couple of days of pounding. Now, I went and identified the water table out there. Of course, the state identifies the water table in winter when it's at its highest point, and it's 6 feet. During the summer, it gets down to 20 to 25 feet. So I found an auger that you can take the handle off of and attach a pipe to and basically twist the bucket into the ground and then lift it out and dump it.
Yep, I'm familiar with those.
What I've read is that usually within a good 8-hour day, you can get down to 25 feet. Now, mind you, out there, it's all sand down to about 70 feet.
Okay.
So it's relatively easy digging if you didn't watch me put in the drain. I put in the drain midsummer and the ground was hard.
Oh, wow.
I took a pickaxe to it. That was a lot of work.
I bet.
And I will have to admit, I did not see that particular video, but for your drainage system, then, seeing as you don't have a septic tank, you just running off into any type of leach field or anything, or just out in the field, or for your gray water?
Since it's just a sink, it's just gray water, and the state requires that the gray water be disposed below grade. So what I did is I ran a pipe out from the sink into the ground, well, under the cabin, and then it comes out the side of the cabin and it runs along the side because it goes downhill that direction. And then I eventually get to where it's buried. And it's buried probably 30 feet of pipe. And then it goes out into an 90-degree angle that dumps into a small leach field where I dug down about 2 feet and filled it in with pea gravel and then put dirt over it. So far, the only problem I've had with it is if I dump anything, wash my cooking dishes and dump it down the sink, it's guaranteed the next time I'm out there, something's dug up that hole.
Well, Grizz posted here, use a 90-pound jackhammer to drive your well with on the pipe and cone. He'll be right over to help you.
There you go.
Well, I think you'd have to build a scaffolding and everything else to get up high enough to...
Don't look at me, I have no idea.
Well, the pipe's 5 foot, the well spike is another 2, so you're looking at 7 feet to the top of the pipe when you start pounding it.
Yeah, and you don't want that over your head.
Yeah, exactly. You stand on something and use a fence post pounder to pound it in. Sure. That's a lot of work. Not something I want to do.
So you've got you haven't gotten the well done yet, but you do have your sink drain in.
I do.
You got the whole inside of your cabin. Is that complete now?
I still need to hang a ceiling fan that I've got in a box out there.
Okay.
But I have a rule, and it's just me personally. The cell phones don't work out there. If I park the truck 50 feet up the drive, 75 feet up the drive, I can get 1 bar of 4G, turn on Wi-Fi, then I can use my little netbook in the cabin and get internet, which is kind of jumping it. However, at the cabin, there's no actual cell connection, no internet, no nothing. And I don't get on the ladders out there above, 2 runs up when I'm out that far out by myself.
Sure.
I did when I was putting up the wall boards, because I did almost all the walling myself alone. And I fell off the ladder. I landed kind of funny on my leg, and I actually thought that I'd broken my leg.
Oh, my.
And I was driving a Standard, which just makes that even worse. But I kind of got myself up off the floor and sat down on the chair that I had out there and checked. Now, mind you, I've broken both legs, arms, collarbones, ribs, fingers, toes. I know what a broken bone's like. So I sat down for a few minutes and realized that I had not broken the bone itself, because I didn't get the swelling that's involved with that. But I still could not get back up on that ladder because it hurt so bad. It was a bit hard driving home that night as well. So I came to the conclusion I'm not going above the second run on the ladder unless somebody's there.
Yeah, well, that's probably just good safety practice. So what are your what's your future plans for the cabin? What do you still have yet to do on your bucket list?
I still have to fill in the gaps in the walls. I don't know how to put it. There's some spots in the walls where most of it's covered by an edge boards that I put up, but it was just big enough for wasps to get into the wall. I've had wasps in the wall of the cabin for some time, and every time I plug up a hole, they find a new one to go in and out of. So my next big task is getting out there with spray foam and a caulking gun and caulking up every hole and filling in every crack I can find. And then I've got to paint it. Painting it shouldn't be bad. I've got a power sprayer, so that shouldn't take much effort. I do have some more cleanup work out there. The property has been completely unmanaged for at least 2 decades. So there's literally wood everywhere. Fallen limbs, trees, just all kinds of stuff. So
are you going to keep this as a cabin, or are you looking at perhaps down the road a residence for yourself, a retirement place maybe of some sort? Or
well, I took the missus out there, I guess it was 3 or 4 weeks ago for the first time. So she got to see the actual cabin and the property. And she wants to retire out there already.
Okay, well, that's good.
So maybe I will retire out there.
That's good. You got just a couple more years to go, right?
Couple more, yep. Hopefully I'll be kicking back and enjoying it.
Well, I'm sure that you will.
As long as you get to retire on your own terms.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my intent.
Yeah.
Get out of the rat race.
But we all know how that can go.
You get into the chicken race.
So, obviously, not staying there and so forth, at this point in time, animals and perhaps even gardening is not even in the question, or is it?
Well, I have beehives out there right now that are set up that will be baited shortly when spring gets here, because I'm trying to get wild bees to move in. I just finished a video on building a pair of swarm boxes to take out there and put up in the trees to see if I can get wild bees to move in.
If I were going to bait it, I'd just have to go stand out by it.
Say again?
If I were going to bait one of those beehives, I'd just have to go stand by it. They'd come.
Oh. Yeah, I put some work into baiting them the first year I put them out there, and then it started raining and I couldn't get in with the pickup that I had. So I had to go get a new 4-wheel drive pickup to get in and out more often. This year I should have them baited all through swarm season, and fingers crossed, I should get a swarm in and get started with beekeeping. Now there's animals out there.
Well,
I got a tasty possum.
When I say when I say animals, I'm referring more to chickens, goats, cows,
Farm animals.
turkeys.
Oh yeah,
Farm animals.
the stuff I grew up with: rabbits, chickens, ducks, geese, guineas.
Yep.
Goats,
Is that-
cows. Yeah.
Is that in the future? Build a barn, outbuilding, and
I don't know. It possibly could be. Depends on a lot of factors. Trying to get the kids all on their own feet and not having to come running home for money.
good luck.
Tell us how you do it.
I'll let you know if I succeed.
Gotcha.
As it stands, we're babysitting the grandkid after school every day, which I absolutely love, but that has come to an end at some point.
Yeah, we're going to be having our 19-month-old grandson every Monday and Friday. She has a part-time job.
How many grandkids do you have?
I have one right now. He's 4 years old and is a traditional little boy. That's a good way to put it.
So he's a handful.
Yeah, we had all girls. My wife has not had to deal with
Oh my.
a little boy. So the first time he came over, well,
was not
when he was
scared.
in school, the first time he came over after school, I should say. First thing he did was strip all his clothes off and start running around the house naked. And my
That
wife
sounds
was
like a little
chasing him,
boy.
trying to tell him to put his clothes back on.
Well, those 100-degree days, you got to do that to keep cool.
At least he stayed in the house. When my son was that age, he stripped and went down to the neighbor's house. And they called me. Yeah, they called me. Sherry, do you know where Sean is? Well, he's in the house here somewhere. No, he's in our living room, stark naked. Yeah. Good luck.
My wife says anything to my mom about him, and the first words out of my mom's mouth are, "You've got it easy." Because I was one of those little kids that by age 7 had figured out what gunpowder was.
That's this one right here.
And I was out blowing things up and starting fires and shooting stuff, and yeah.
Yeah, wasn't it you said your dad came home from work one day and you were under the hood of your mom's car and you had it torn apart?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that happened.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I took all the spark plug wires out of my mom's car once. And my mom had to call, my grandfather was a mechanic, so my mom had to call my grandfather to get the wiring information to put them all back where they belonged.
Yeah, I saw a sign on some video we watched in the people's kitchen. It said free range children.
You just saw that the other day, didn't we?
Yeah,
Some
free
of us-
range children. I thought that's fitting.
Oh yeah, my grandfather he'd tell me to go play, and there were fields around his house, probably a couple 100 acres, and I'd go out in the fields and just have fun. I'd take a pellet gun or a 22 as I got older, and just go out and shoot rabbits and bring them back and skin them, and we'd have them for dinner. One of the most memorable ones was I took a pair of pliers and a butter tub and went out flipping over rocks and catching scorpions, filled a butter tub, went back to show my grandfather what I'd caught, and dropped the butter tub in the house. Scorpions went everywhere.
Ooh.
I bet
Fun.
but you were on the hot seat there for a little bit.
I was, but my grandfather had grown up kind of during the Great Depression. So I was doing things that he expected, for lack of a better description. It was things that he did growing up. So while my grandmother or my mom were just freaking out, my grandfather's like, yeah, it's normal. No biggie.
So
My grandfather actually put a gun in my hand at age about 6 and started teaching me how to shoot. And not just, there's a target, shoot at it, but how to properly breathe, how to squeeze that trigger, and how to put it on target. And when I got to where I was hitting the center of the target, we went over to shooting out the spots on playing cards. And then he went to turning the playing card sideways. And then it was shooting out candles without hitting the wick.
Shoo.
And then he was tossing Alka-Seltzers, and I had to shoot the Alka-Seltzer. So I got relatively good at shooting. Even with my deer rifle today, when I've got it sighted in properly, I can sit at 100 yards, put a 8mm hole in the target, and then put the next 5 rounds through that exact same hole.
That's pretty good. See, I always just say it's the gun's fault. The gun's not accurate. I'm dead shot, but the gun barrel shifts and moves and.
Yeah, you are a good shot.
I know that one. I love it when somebody at the range comes out and says, that gun's more accurate than you are. Because I always look at him and go, no, it's not.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sherry is quite a good shot. She does real well with a little 380.
Yeah.
So, we haven't done that for a while. We got to go shooting again.
We haven't done it for a while.
So.
Yeah, that first gun safety video I have up, I actually give a view of my gun collection, which is rather large.
I saw that. I figured you were walking through a store somewhere.
No, I've got a 77 square foot walk-in gun safe, and
That's
that
about the size of your cabin, isn't it?
Huh?
That's about the size of your cabin, isn't it?
Cabin is 160 square feet interior.
Okay, so it's half the size of your cabin.
Yeah.
You have to build a cabin. You have to build an auxiliary cabin just for your guns.
Yes, I probably would. And if the stuff ever hits the fan, I'll probably be the most armed person on the road.
So, do you do any gardening currently, or plans to do in the future?
I have done some gardening in the past. We usually plant some stuff in the flower beds here, just onions and garlic more than anything, herbs, things like that. My intent out there is, I've heard it referred to as subsistence farming. I don't like the term, but basically I've got a lot of things that I want to plant out there, but it's all stuff that grows natively. So I'd like to put in some plum trees, maybe a couple of apple trees, definitely grapes, stuff that I don't have to actually manage a lot. There is some management to those, but it's not something that you need to be out and daily work with.
Sure.
There's a spot behind the cabin. If you go out 150 yards, the land kind of goes up. And if you go up, I've got probably another 400, 500 yards back, but it's all thicket. It's fireleaf sumac is what it is. And it's all about 7 foot tall, and it's so thick you can't move through it. took a set of loppers out there one weekend and just kind of lopped them off and moved back in there. And I think if I can get back in there, with a chipper, I may be able to open up a couple of acres right in the middle of it as a hidden garden and put fruit trees and grapes and things like that in there.
Oh, very neat.
What's that red dot on my phone? Laser. Go on with the conversation.
Okay.
Laser?
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've been on here for a little bit. Let's get one of the trivia questions going here. So let me
All right.
Bring that over.
$2 right there.
Oh.
It came in the mail.
That's right. You said that. Yeah. Mapleberry got theirs also.
Okay, folks, it's trivia time, where you have the opportunity to win yourself a couple bucks. So here's the rules. You can only win once every 4 weeks. You must be the first person to answer the question correctly within the chat window, as it is received and recorded on the live stream here. And if you are the winner, you must send us an email with your mailing address. We ask that you do that within 48 hours to twofamilyhomestead@gmail.com. So, if we are ready.
Dude, we have a few new ones in here tonight.
Okay.
Okay? Just want to say, for the new folks, we have become known for our $2 trivias. What you will get is an actual $2 bill.
Well, as a matter of fact, Grandpa's Place.
Yeah, he got his. He won, was it last week? I think he won last week.
I don't know if it was last week or the week
2 weeks
before.
ago. Yeah.
Last week.
Yep. They have gone all over the United States. They have gone to Canada. The farthest one has gone to England. That one cost more than the $2 was.
just to mail it. But
just to mail them, but they're fun.
But that's not the point.
They're
The
fun.
point is
Yeah,
it's
so
something a little different,
Yep.
and we enjoy everybody playing.
So here we go.
So here is question number 1. What part of the liver must be removed to make the liver edible?
I know.
You can't answer.
I know. You know, I'm going to put this $2 bill in the cabin.
Cool.
And I'm going to document the serial number, because if the cabin ever gets robbed, $2 bills are unique enough that the person spending it will get caught.
Got that right. Rusty Bell, the top.
No. Oh. Spleen? No.
And spleen's supposed to be good eating too. Haven't done that one yet.
Dawn says she's going to learn something new here.
Yeah, me too. Veins? Veins?
No.
Say, I don't even know. Dawn, we learn something new every week.
What part of the liver must be removed to make the liver
There you go.
edible?
Gallbladder.
That's it.
Christy Betts. Rusty, almost. On our screen.
Congratulations, Christy.
Yeah, on our screen it shows Christy Betts. Make sure you email us at twofamilyhomestead@gmail.com, your name and address, and that will be shipped out tomorrow if I get your email.
Susan Sullivan, that is another name for it, yes.
Oh, hey, Susan. Didn't see you sneak in here.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right. You got everything you need written down?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, folks, we're going to open up the phone line where we can take a call here, and you can speak to Grandpa directly, ask him questions. Just say hello, enjoy what he's doing. And he's not been doing this as long. He actually started that channel day after Christmas, if I remember right.
First video went up in July.
So the phone line is open. Give us a call. And in the interim, so I watched your beekeeping video, your hive video or whatever, and you were making a couple of comments about the wild bees have smaller hives than the domesticated bees. Am I using the terms correctly?
Wild bees produce smaller cells.
Cells, okay.
Domesticated bees, the cell size that they grow bees in or that they put honey in is actually formed on a wax sheet and put into the hive. It's been maximized for size. So domesticated bees are bigger than wild bees, and wild bees are kind of a misnomer. They're all feral. Bees aren't native in North America. So when a swarm escapes, if it survives, they end up reverting back to their natural size, which is smaller. From what people have found and what I've read, the smaller bees with the smaller comb size have less trouble with Verona and all the other issues that they end up treating domestic bees for. So my intent is to get wild bees to move into the hive so that I don't deal with having to treat them or manage them near as much as you would a commercial hive.
What about the end product, the honey and stuff that the people are kind of after? Is it sweeter? Is it or do you even know?
From what I've read, no, there's no real difference between the honey and between a commercial hive and a hive like what I'm doing. Other than commercial hives, you'll get a whole lot more honey out of. The hives that I'm doing, the top bar hives, are designed around South America, third world countries, but it's more of providing a home for the bees and letting them do their thing than it is set up for commercial type production. Okay. Although to put that into perspective, from what I've read and the size of my hive, each hive should produce somewhere around 60 pounds of honey. So if I can get up to 6, which will get me the agricultural exemption on the property, then we're looking at 240 pounds of honey in a year.
Rebel Rose Connie is asking, how is bee pollen collected?
On their legs. The bees collect it on their legs. They fly back to the hive and they put it in special cells in the hive. The way the top bars work, the pollen comb will be at the front of the hive, and then you get into brood, and then you get into honey stores. If you're asking how it's collected to be sold, on commercial hives, they have a piece that they put in that when the bees go through, it actually takes it off their legs. But the pollen is what the bees use to make bee bread to feed to the baby bees to get them to grow up.
Well, I wouldn't think it'd be too difficult to have 6 hives out there to get your exemption. They may not be all full, but
it shouldn't be too difficult.
Yeah.
I've just got to get that first swarm in.
Oh, and so then they do have to be occupied.
Yes, they've got to be occupied.
It can't be like the hotels in the area that are empty most of the time. Okay.
No, not at all. They do have to have bees in them. However, if I can get a swarm, then next spring, during swarm season, I can actually split the hive and make 2 hives.
Well, and I think we got a couple of beekeepers in the room here, don't we?
Yeah, we have Bee Lady is here, and Red Duchess, which is Mark.
Okay.
Mark and Jamie. Well, Mark's online. They're going to be at the gathering. Well, you met Mark last year.
Yeah, and Southern Ark's in here.
Yeah, Southern Ark's in here.
So we got at least 3 other beekeepers in here.
Yep.
Yep, and I have spoken many times with the Bee Lady in Southern Ark. Volunteered to help her go pick Southern Ark to go pick up swarms when swarm season comes around, since she's about an hour away from where my cabin is.
Yeah, Mark, you go ahead and bring us a jar of that. we'll take care of you.
We sure will.
So,
what's that little thing I have in the cupboard? Beeswax. It's beeswax, yeah, because that's what I use for my wooden utensils. Go ahead, chat.
Tap.
Yeah, that's the other thing that these hives produce a lot of is beeswax. Commercial hives, they cut the caps off and then spin the wax to expel the honey from it. And on these hives, you cut the whole wax off the bar and then crush it.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Now, not to bring up some other channel name, but if I'm not mistaken, didn't Wrangler Star do a video on a top bar? Maybe somebody out there knows. Seems to me he made a top bar beehive that he did a video on. And
Grandma Rose Homestead, to answer your question, that is at the cabin itself. If I can get back and open up about an acre at the back of the property, that will be all sun all day.
Wow.
Yeah, Bee Lady, I just finished recording a video on making top bar swarm boxes. And that was, oh God, that was a pain to edit. That was 4.5 hours of video that I ended up editing down to 40 minutes. And I spent 12 hours editing that video.
Oh my gosh.
well, of course, you're doing it the hard way.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, folks, if you don't know, this is probably one of the handful of people on YouTube that does not use Windows and does not use Apple.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You are looking at a Unix user.
A lot of them won't even know what it is.
Just to be able to function on YouTube with Unix is a feat in itself. So
It's not that bad.
Well, that's because that's yours. It's second nature to you.
Yeah.
Well, that's true.
Rusty Bell said, yeah, Wrangler Star did a top bar hive.
Yeah, that's what I was pretty sure. I'd seen that.
Russian
Yes.
rain.
Yes, Noah's Ark, it is Linux. Fedora Core and Kden Live is my editor, with Audacity for doing my audio.
So in other words, he doesn't want to pay Microsoft for Windows. I'm just teasing. You have to coexist.
Bee Lady. Yes, and I actually sent you an email, but I don't seem to get responses from you when I send you an email. I've got a lot of pictures that I'm ready to send you, the top bar hive, both building and setting up my top bar hives.
And Finique World is asking where in Texas you are. He came in late. She came in late.
During the week, I'm in DFW, which is Dallas Fort Worth, and the cabin is out in East Texas by a little town called Wascom.
Okay. And well, we have just a moment. I do want to mention that the spring gathering is going to be in less than a month. I know there's some people in the chat here that are going to be there.
We're already talking about it.
Oh, they're already talking about it.
That poor hotel has no idea what their weekend is going to be like with all of us there at the same place.
So we'll just kind of mention it here once now. And if you are within driving distance to Wiggins, Mississippi, you need to be there. It's going to be very incredible. There's some 40 channels represented, some big channels. Living on a Dime, Dirt Patch Heaven, J.J. Acres, Alderman Farms. List goes on. So, and we're going to be there. So.
Yeah, and I think the majority of us are staying at America's Best. Got Southern Ark Homestead is there. Backwoods Race is going to be there. Brenda Duncan, Duncan 1900 Homestead is going to be there. We will be there.
Grandma Rose's homestead will be there.
Yeah, Grandma Rose.
Rusty Bell Acres is going to be there.
Yeah, but Rusty Bell he lives so far, he's not going to come Saturday and spend the night.
Oh.
He's coming in the same day. I'm just talking about
that's going
attacking the hotel and.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well. So anyway, let's get back to this. The area where your cabin is at, is there? I get the idea it's in a heavily wooded area.
That would be an understatement. Yes.
Okay. And do you have? And where I'm going with this is, do you have a concern over? I'm going to say fire.
Right now, no, it's pouring down rain out there.
Well, I mean with the.
However, they do put up no fire points. There are times during the year where they will ban fires out there, and it is an actual hazard. Now, most of my fire is done inside of a grill right now, and when I build a fire ring, the intent is to use brick to build the fire ring so that when I do start a fire, it's controlled. I also have a fire extinguisher out there inside of the armoire that I built, just in case.
Well, and I'm not thinking so much for yourself, just, and maybe it's an overthink, but I see pictures of these wildfires that get going and just burn thousands of acres and just wipe.
Yeah, that's California.
Well, there was one in Tennessee. Was it last year?
What?
They had that big fire go through Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Dolly Park, amusement park, and everything. Yeah.
It's definitely a possibility. The timberland that's around my property is managed by a paper company, and they've got a lot of stuff out there. I'm pretty sure this one big pipe sticking up is a water pipe. So I'm not real sure how they do their management of the timber. The property out there has timber company and oil companies. So like there's an oil, I don't have the mineral rights on my property. So there's a oil pump on my property that's managed by one of the oil companies. And I got to know the guy that manages the pump. But they kind of take care of most of that out there.
Well, I saw that you've got this big electric line running either adjacent to or through your property. I don't know which.
It's on the north end of the property, and my property actually extends out into that power line run. That's actually managed by the power company. They come out and mow it every couple of years, and they keep it planted with native wildflowers.
Well, that's just what the bees are looking for too, isn't it?
It is. I'll get some pictures this spring when it's all flowered up. But for literally as far as you can see, it's all wildflowers. And the flowers that they plant start flowering early spring and flower up to, usually October. There's something flowering out there. And of course, during the dearth, when bees don't normally have a lot of flowers, all of the fire leaf sumac is flowering.
Grandma Rose had a question. Did you catch it?
Grandma Rose wants to know if you're near the big thicket in East Texas.
North, I don't know where the big thicket is. It's northeast Texas. Pretty close to Shreveport, Louisiana.
Rusty said he jumped. He wondered what that sound was.
Gotta keep everybody awake.
Well, Grandpa's place, he got very quiet also. Rebel Rosie's in Texas. Make sure you put all. If you have a question, make sure you put it in capitals, please.
And the phone line is open. The number is on the top of the screen there. If somebody would like to call in.
Yeah.
And since nobody has called, I want to make sure it's working. So
June was here.
There you go.
Was here at the beginning.
So we need somebody to call.
Come on, Rusty. Come on, Grizz. There we go. Grizz. Call in.
Thank you, Christy. Texas is a big state.
Isn't Texas the one, their flower, aren't they bluebells or something? Is that the Texas flower?
Bluebonnets.
Bluebonnets. That's what it is. Yeah.
There was an incident a couple of years ago where a guy from a radio station doing a stunt went out, because they plant bluebonnets along the roadside every year. And, I mean, the whole roads, the grassy areas around the roads all turn blue with bluebonnets. And this guy was doing a stunt with a mower, swearing he was going to mow down bluebonnets, which cutting them is illegal. He actually got arrested for threatening to do it.
Texas state of the crispy critter.
That's right, and you can watch me eat some of those crispy critters. So far, the one on the possum is up.
Oh, jeez.
Where I butcher out a possum, which was wonderful, tasted great.
Mm.
I recently got a raccoon, which surprised me. Not getting the raccoon, but when I skinned it out, I got 5 pounds of fat on that raccoon.
Wow. Ugh.
This is Daryl. Who's calling, please?
This is the Kitty Man.
The Kitty Man.
Grizz.
Hey, Grandpa, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I hardly ever comment on your videos, but I want you to know that I put every single one of your videos on my playlist, and I watch you on the big screen.
There you go.
Hey, I was going to mention to you on driving a well with the 90-pound hammer, jackhammer is really easy, and I've done it a few times with that. I've done it a couple other methods, so I just want to tell you, build a tripod with a pulley up on top to lift your jackhammer up there with, first of all, and then build yourself a stand. And the pipes that we was using, we were getting 3-foot pipes. Now you were saying yours were 5 foot that you could get, but we was getting 3-foot pipes. And of course, but either way, you got to do a stand. But it drives it down pretty good. I was able to go down 35, 40 feet with them.
Well, that's not bad.
Yeah,
if I can get to 25,
build yourself a little stand, to get on up there, and you got that tripod to lift it up and down. And I'll make you a video one of these days. I need to make a video on how to do the lifting using a car to lift that. And it's really simple. It's a one-man operation.
Well, now I got a winch that goes into the the tow receiver on the back of my pickup.
Yeah, that helps, but I just got to make, basically you take a rope and you wrap it around the tire rim. Take your tire off and just put a bare rim on your back axle.
Yep.
And if you have an automatic, you just take the rope and wrap it around that rim a couple of times, and you can use that for a winch. You just put it in gear, and that tire, that wheel will start spinning. And you just pull the rope tight on that rim, and it will lift the jackhammer up. And also, I've done this with lifting a weight up, and then dropping it. You let go of the rope, and it spins free, and the weight will slam on back on down. You can really control your lifting and dropping with a setup like that.
I may have to look into that. Sounds interesting.
Where you can't do that with a regular winch, what I'm talking about there. But it's really, actually, once you get set up, it's really easy to punch down a well.
Well, the winch that I've got, it's got up, it's got down, and it's got neutral. And if you put it in neutral, it will let go.
that would work then.
It's too small for the pickup itself, so it won't pull the pickup out of mud. It's 2,500 pounds, I believe, is what the winch is. So it's designed for four-wheelers.
But yeah, it will still lift the late. You put a block and tackle on there, and you can double the capacity.
I don't know that it'd pull the truck out of the mud, though.
That little four-wheeler. I got one on my six-wheeler on out here, and it will lift my six-wheeler off the ground.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just for an ATV.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, that little winch, it will do it. But yeah, keep that in mind. I mean, don't outrule driving that on that. Don't do it with the sledgehammer. Don't do it with the sledgehammer. That's too much work.
No, as I said, I'm looking at one of these augers where you just twist it into the ground and then lift it up and empty the basket.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, well, they're not as easy as you think. I mean, the well that I'm talking about punching on in when you're using the weight to just drive it on down, all you do is you sit back in your chair and you grab that rope and you pull it tight on that rim so it'll pull it up and you let go. And you only use one hand, that means your other hand's free for drinking your beer while you're driving that well on in. Really simple.
There you go.
Got that.
Now, if you're using the jackhammer, well, it's harder to drink the beer.
True. I've got the only big advantage I've got is that my daughter's friends have volunteered to come out and help.
There you go.
It usually lasts.
You can't be getting the young generation involved in it. Okay, well, I'm going to let you get back to the show. I mean, I want you to know that I really enjoy your channel. You got an awesome channel there.
Well, thank you. I quite enjoy watching you and your sawmill.
And by the way, you have had your wife. I'm pretty sure that was your wife that you had up there before. I mean, she was back up there quite a while back when you put the tile on in.
Nope, not my wife.
Oh, that wasn't your wife? There was a lady there. Was that your girlfriend?
That was my girlfriend. That's what my wife will say, too.
Okay, I thought that was your wife there.
No, it's a very dear friend of mine who is, this is going to sound funny, she is far more knowledgeable in construction than I am.
Ah, so that was cool having her there for that then.
She loves to get out and help. She helped me with the back porch. She helped me with the tiling. There's a few other times she's been out to help. And I've gone to do something, and she's gone, "Oh, my God, what are you doing? No, that's wrong. That's not how you do that."
Awesome.
We know somebody like that.
Okay, I'll let you get back to the show.
Hey, Grizz, thank you for calling.
Thank you for calling in, Grizz.
Thanks, Grizz.
Okay, take care, Dell and Cheryl.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You want to do it's close to 10. You want to do the other trivia?
Sure, we can do that. So let me get this queued up here.
Probably true. Oh, she can't hear me.
Oh, all they have to do is know Patty Alderman. Yep.
Okay. Trivia time. Go over the rules real quick here. You can only win once every 4 weeks. You must be the first person to answer the question correctly in the chat window, as is received and recorded on the stream here. And then, of course, you have to send us an email so we know where to send you a $2 bill.
A real $2 bill.
A real $2 bill. As you can see, Grandpa's Place was a winner not that long ago.
That's right.
So, question number 2. Get it queued up here. Is everybody ready? Got the line drawn? Here we go.
Line's drawn. Wait till the question is done.
Okay. What kind of traps has Grandpa used? What kind of traps? Bear? No, not bear. Not bear traps.
Live traps.
Not live traps.
Raccoon.
Close, Bandana.
Beaver. Big bear.
No, no beaver.
Coyote.
I am hoping to get a coyote. I hear they taste good.
Raccoon and squirrel. Cat. No, that would be Grizz.
Not a bear? No. Raccoon?
Possum. Polar bears.
That's a type of trap.
Oh, snare trap. Skunk. Fox. Snake. Mouse. Rabbit.
Conibears are actually pretty good traps. I could probably use them for raccoon.
Grizz, the question should still be up on the screen, but it's what kind of traps has Grandpa used?
I'd expect Grizz to get it if he's watched it.
Christy says, I know, but I can't participate.
Don't they just bite?
Nope, it's not bear. Coon cuffs, that's it.
There you go.
Jim Beer. And I don't recognize that name.
He's been in here a couple times.
Been in a couple times.
Yeah.
Good. Glad to see you here. Jim Bear, you won tonight's trivia, so please send us an email, twofamilyhomestead@gmail.com, so we know where to send you a $2 bill.
Steve Tim said deadfall. I do have a list of doing primitive traps, videos on primitive traps in the future, and deadfall is one of them. Not one I've done yet, but something I'm looking forward to. There's a spot on the property where there's a bunch of paths that have a lot of rabbit pellets along them. So I figured I could set some primitive traps on those.
Okay, Dawn, the answer was coon cuffs. All right.
You know, that weekend I got the raccoon in a coon cuff. Day 2, I went back and walked the trap line and ended up having a possum in the coon cuff that wasn't, honestly, he wasn't, body length wasn't even 6 inches, little bitty one. And if it had been a coon, I would have had to have killed it because you can't get close to them. But with a possum, you just poke him with a stick a couple of times and it'll play dead. And I went up and released that cuff from it, picked it up by the tail and went and set it down in the woods and let it go. It was something else to see.
Christy, I don't know if Jay Knoll uses those or not. I just don't know. I'm not familiar with them.
Grizz, how did I know you'd say that?
All right. So the phone line is open, and we have gone just about an hour, so everybody is aware of their time. You have other things. I'm assuming Grandpa says it's okay to continue going here for a little bit.
We can go as long as anybody will keep asking questions.
Hey, folks.
So Linda said they feed them, the possums, in the winter. They eat up all the rodents in the old neighborhood in the summer. Skeeters, too.
I didn't know possums ate mosquitoes.
Hey.
That's interesting.
Yep, and ticks and fleas.
I wasn't aware of that.
My problem right now is that, and I've got some pictures I think are up. They may not be up yet on a posted video, but I have a real problem with raccoons and possums. 7 and 8 of them in a picture of the feeder.
Oh, my.
So I'm trying to thin them out a little bit. And I don't believe in. I believe that if you kill something, you should make use of everything you can off of it. So if I kill it, I'm going to eat it. And like with the raccoon fat, it's not very flavorful. It's like bear fat. You don't want to eat it. So I collected all the fat from the raccoon, about 5 pounds worth, rendered it down into grease, which is interesting because Native Americans actually use that grease to fry stuff. So the old Indian fry breads were all actually done in raccoon grease. When I rendered it, of course, when you render any fat down, you're left with cracklings, which are just the little bits that are left over. And knowing what the fat tastes like, I wasn't about to try that. However, the dogs go absolutely nuts for them. I've got a dog that just ignores everything. Well, is not play motivated, is not food motivated, but I get that jar of cracklings out and she is right there doing anything I tell her. So I found a use for those. The raccoon fat is being turned into fix and wax and then soap, and soap.
Where was the Tigger? Tigger lives an hour from us. Did you see your question?
No, I missed it.
What kind of trap can I use on a human that sneaks between our house trying to break in?
A 12 gauge one.
I was just going to say one that fits in your hand.
Bee lady. I watched that video. You think it was a raccoon? Well, they can get up to 45 pounds. Big raccoon could probably do it. But I don't know that I've read about raccoons getting into beehives. I know skunks will. Skunks will sit at the entrance of the beehive and actually catch the bees, rub them into the ground so that the bee stings the ground, and then eat the bee.
Why are you asking me that, bee lady? Can't we get crackling from frying bacon for the dogs? I don't fry bacon for the dogs. I fry bacon for me.
Yeah, that's the same here. Actually, pork cracklings taste good. They're really good. There's a little Mexican meat shop down the street that makes lard, and I can go in and get the cracklings from them. And
I saw your video on the tamales, and that was very interesting, where you explained how the different areas do them a little differently between the corn husks and banana peels or whatever they were cooking.
Banana leaves in Southern and Central America, and then it moves into corn husks as it gets up to Mexico. Yeah. The history of the tamale is actually really interesting.
Looks like Green Gables knows what they're talking about.
Somebody asked, Dawn Robinson, what do you do with the skins? Do you make things from them or sell them? She's curious.
So I keep them. I can tan them, or intend to tan them. I've got the hide from the deer that I shot this year stretched and salted. I've got a raccoon hide and a possum hide. I really kind of saving them up until I've got 3 or 4 hides and can do a big batch of tanning solution to tan them. Then once it's tanned, they will be used for various small projects. Waste as little as possible.
Well, you got a grandson there. You can make some little straps and things with.
Kelly's asking if you've ever used Duke spring traps before.
I have a set of Duke spring traps out at the cabin. They're designed around, they're foothold traps that are used for coyotes and bobcats, which are both out there. I've got pictures of them. I just am waiting for spring going into summer when it dries out enough that I can get a good bedding on those type traps.
if some people dropping off, they have work early in the morning. So.
Yep.
I get a bobcat. Grizz will get a video.
Mm-hmm.
Grizz will get a barbecue video.
Phone line is open if anybody wants to call in. We don't bite, and you get to talk to Grandpa one-on-one.
Honest, we won't listen in. Us or the other 35 people in the chat room.
Okay.
You know, Duncan, growing up, I heard that a lot. And my grandfather instilled in me that if you kill it, you eat it.
Or at least make use of it.
Yeah, except that bird that I shot in the backyard did not taste good.
Ugh.
Well, I'm not opposed to dog food and animal feed. Let me put it that way. As long as it's not wasted.
Exactly. I think I say that in my hunting and trapping video, is that you've taken a life and you need to respect what you've taken and use as much as you can from it.
So do you do any fishing?
I do, but there are 3 ponds around my property, but not on my property. I have not been out to them at this point. I have a feeling that they're brackish water from the oil pumps. Which is one of those that I'm just going to have to sit and watch to see what it does.
Yeah, you're not going to want to eat fish out of that if there are any.
True. But local lakes, yeah, I'll head out to the lake and go fishing.
So do you have any other hobbies that you've not shared with you? You go square dancing every Saturday night or something.
So we talking things that I don't do on YouTube. I play the harmonica.
There you go.
And I did a video of me playing the harmonica and listened to it and went, no, I'm not going to publish that one. I didn't say I played it good, but I can play it. I'm actually trying to get my aunt. Okay. During the 1930s World Fair in New York, my great-great-grandfather went to the fair and recorded an album, a record of him playing the harmonica. And my aunt currently has it. And I'm trying to get it away from her so that I can convert it to MP3 format and use it as music in my videos.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, he lived through the Civil War.
Awesome.
So other hobbies. I can say a little bit of everything. From car repairs to mycology. How's that for a spread?
It is.
I spent quite a few years studying mushrooms and what is and isn't edible and how to identify them on the microscopic level, which, if I rotate, in the background you can see my microscope, and
Oh, yep.
let's see, there we go, waiting for it to change on the stream. Behind the microscope is an incubator and a heat pad stirrer, a heat plate and stirrer.
Well, you know,
And
I just caught glimpses. I just caught glimpses of that because you're kind of sitting in front of it. I just thought it was some sort of a loader, but I can see where it's a microscope.
The boxes on the wall over here are all electronics parts because I tend to go dig and repair electronics from time to time, especially flat screen LCD TVs that people throw away. I will grab them and go fix the power supply in them and give them to somebody who needs a TV.
Oh.
And that's usually what it is the power supply.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 99% of the time it's low-end electrolytic capacitors in the power supply that have blown.
Yeah.
When my daughter was in high school, her chemistry class sucked. For security reasons, they wouldn't let them do any real experiments. They would do all the math to determine electron positions, and then the teacher would do the experiment in the front of the class. And so when she got home, she was upset that they weren't being allowed to do any experiments, so we did them in the backyard.
Okay.
It's amazing what you can blow up with a few common household chemicals.
Yes.
You laugh, but the funniest thing I have done that she invited all of her friends to come over and see was to take a beaker, 2,000 milliliter beaker, so a decent sized beaker, fill it halfway up with sugar, and then pour sulfuric acid drain cleaner on top of it. Because it's like those snakes you get at 4th of July where you light them and they put out that long, does the same thing, but it's, a 3-inch diameter one coming out of it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a little bit bigger scale.
Yeah. We did thermite. That was a fun one. Put thermite on a cast iron skillet and it'll burn a hole through the skillet, and if you have a sandbox underneath it, it'll create glass in the sand.
Oh my.
Yeah, thermite's pretty neat stuff. I just get one of these looks.
We got 33 people watching. So here's one for everybody out there. I had discussed it with my daughters, and I haven't decided whether I want to do it or not. So when you go on bushcraft channels, everybody shows how to start a fire. Whether it's rubbing sticks together, or flint and steel, or ferro rod, or battery and steel wool, every way of starting a fire has been covered, except for one. Nobody yet has done how to start a fire with a tactical nuclear weapon. So, do you think that video would be worth doing?
You did say a tactical nuclear weapon.
Yes. Just a little one.
Just old. Size matters,
Well, absolutely. You don't want a big fire, just a little fire.
I'm not touching that one with the 10-foot pole.
Maybe put a raw chicken on a stick a few feet away from it and show it fried. So you get an end of fire out of it.
I would guess that most people don't have any type of source for any type of tactical nuclear weapons.
It's not complicated. You can make them in the garage. Oh, I'm going to scare people.
Well, yeah. I mean,
actually, the idea is more CGI than anything else. It's kind of tongue-in-cheek fun.
Oh, come on, Tim Allen. That's cute nose arc.
If you go look online, you can find instructions on how to use common items from the hardware store and raw uranium ore and how to refine it into yellow cake uranium. And it's not complicated. That's the scary part. That's not complicated.
Kelly says radiated bird.
Nuked. Just like in the microwave.
Well,
Yeah, you definitely will end up on the watch list. You got that right, Green Gables.
Yeah, no kidding.
yeah, I have an idea. If you put something like that on YouTube,
Oh yeah,
I just have an idea that would be demonetized.
it's not going to have a yellow thing. It's going to have a red thing.
Yeah, it might well just disappear. To put your name on a book somewhere.
I'm not monetized on YouTube.
Well, I think that might just cross any type of line.
Grizz, I have a feeling that's going to start more than a fire at your house.
What did he say? I can start a fire. Oh.
Yeah, you're right. Well, you're right, Jen. The ones eating the Tide Pods. Oy.
Hey, Grizz, there was a chat board I was on. Somebody asked, how do you raise a demon? Really, not this made up stuff. How do you really raise a demon? And there was this long explanation about getting 2 chairs and a frying pan and putting the cast iron skillet between the 2 chairs, and you sit in one and your girlfriend sits in the other. And it gave you very specific words to say, and it says as soon as those words come out of your mouth, you will see a demon.
Oh, that brought up some comments. That was cool.
Okay.
Who asked if you were smoking cigars? That was way up there. I forget who it was.
Me?
No, yeah, she liked the smell of cigars. Like pipe tobacco. Cigars and cigarettes. Ugh.
Yes, I smoke cigars and pipes from time to time. I used to smoke cigarettes and ended up having some issues from it. That's a good way to put it. Went to the doctor and he said, you got to quit smoking cigarettes. So they gave me Chantix. I love Chantix. I'm the 1% that has hallucinations on it.
Oh my.
So I would take it in the morning, and 20 minutes later, the walls would start breathing and the ceiling would start swaying. First time it happens, I call the doctor. And I'm like, I'm having hallucinations on this. And he says, well, we're going to have to take you off of it. And I said, no, wait a minute. Is this dangerous to my health? And he said, no, it's just the hallucinations are unnerving. And I went, no, I'm enjoying it. I'll keep taking them. So for several months, I started every morning with a trip.
Oh, God. Remind you of
And
the,
I
the
loved
60s
it.
and 70s, did it?
So I quit smoking everything for 5 or 6 years, and then picked up cigars, which I do enjoy. And sitting here talking on the computer, I smoke a whole lot more than I normally do. It's a something in my hand thing. I tend to smoke when I'm out at the cabin. I haven't lately, but I like to get really nice $20 big cigars and take the weekend to smoke them. It's my vice. I don't drink.
Yeah, we don't drink. I don't smoke. I just inhale what he smokes. But he's not allowed to smoke up here in the house. He can do it down in the garage or outside.
I occasionally flavor my coffee with a little bit of Irish cream, but I figure the alcohol burns off in the coffee.
B-Lady wants to know what you're really smoking.
Well, Jen, now that
There it is.
Jen, now that Castro's gone, are they still illegal over here?
Yes.
Cubans,
Yes.
are they really?
Yes.
Yeah, what do I
And
know?
if you order them from Mexico or anywhere in South America, they'll get snagged by customs when they come in. So it's best to order them out of Germany.
Well, my cousin went over to Cuba not long after he died, and they opened it up. And he was showing all these cigars that he was buying, but I don't know if he was allowed to bring them back in or not.
I have no idea.
Hey, Jen, I've been to Canada. Just up north of the St. Lawrence River. Beautiful country. But I could not find Cuban cigars anywhere. All I could find was everything pot related.
Okay.
Oh, Dominican cigars. La Flor Dominicana Cabaret Series. Oh my God, that's a good cigar. $25 a piece, but it's a good cigar.
Big lady, what are you asking me for? He's the one who said it.
Cuban cigars from Germany, yes. They can still import them into Germany, and you go online to the German cigar sites and you order the box. They package it up and ship it to you in the U.S.
And because it's coming out of Germany, they're not looked at.
Yeah, Linda, that
Exactly.
they said you still can't go to Cuba now and get them.
Looks like they have them in Canada.
Yeah, she said they're legal there now.
Well, I know if you wanted to fly to Cuba, in the past, you had to fly into Canada and then catch a plane from Canada to Cuba.
Okay. Well, it's almost 10:30. What do you think, hon?
I'm about wiped.
Yep. I think we're gonna shut her down here for the evening. But
Alrighty. Well, I had a blast.
This has been a lot of fun, and we all learned some stuff, and we're all going to keep our eye on your progress, on your cabin and property and other things that you got going on. So, you got any last words to share with everybody?
My cooking video coming out March 3rd is bacon wrapped, honey glazed baked potatoes.
And you were talking about that yesterday.
Okay.
Yep.
I think we're going to have to check that out.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to get you in a couple cooking collaborations.
There we go.
With some other
I can do
channels.
that.
I think so.
So, folks, we want to thank everybody that was in the room tonight and those that had to leave early. We thank you for being here too. Want to thank all the moderators. We appreciate your help more than you know. And what else, hon? Anything?
No, I'm just. Andy just said closest he's ever been to Canada is Kentucky. And we get to meet that young man next month.
All right.
And I'm in Texas, and I've been to Canada, but I've never been to Mexico.
I've been to both, plus other countries.
So, I guess I thank everybody for coming.
Yes.
Tomorrow night we have the editing. Spend an hour with you folks on working on some video editing.
Christy, he's already sleeping.
Windows based. I want to throw that in there.
Sounds good, Mark. Is Jamie coming? Cross my fingers. The lady has spent 2.5 years in Houston Baptist University, and she loved it.
Yep, Houston has a great Baptist university.
All right. Folks, thanks so much for coming. We will see you next week or tomorrow night or maybe sooner. Who knows?
You never know.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.